Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Just wait for 2 minutes more.
Everyone. On behalf of Forensic Science for Justice. Hello.
Good afternoon,
Good
sir.
afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Forensic Science for Justice Students Group, we would like to welcome our Honorable Speaker, Mr. Adarsh Mishra, sir, and all the participants. Adarsh Mishra, sir, is Director cum Forensic Expert at Brilliant Forensic Investigation Private Limited. Our today's topic for the seminar is and examination. Thank you very much, sir, for your valuable time and guidance. Please start, sir.
Hello, everyone. Myself, Adarsh Mishra from Brilliant Forensic Investigation. So, today we are going to learn about the fingerprint, how it is developed. So, I'm just sharing a screen on fingerprint examination. And so, I think everyone has joined, or we are just waiting for 2 more minutes. Many people are still joining our webinar. Okay, so today we are going to start our topic on fingerprint examination and its development. So basically, first we have to understand what exactly a fingerprint is, because this webinar have many people who are from forensic as well as from non-forensic fields, like advocates and from other fields also. So we have to learn from basic level to the advanced level. Still many people are joining. Okay, so today we will cover what is fingerprint, what is its definition, what are the principles of fingerprint, what are different types of fingerprints, then what are the different techniques of developing different types of fingerprints. It may be latent print, patent print, or plastic prints. Then after that, in the last, we will study about how the comparison of the fingerprints are done. Okay, so so fingerprints are the study of the ridge pattern. Ridge pattern means the impression or the formation of the ridges on your fingers. So the fingerprints may be are the reproduction of the frictional ridges that is present over the fingers of the surfaces. So it is the epidermal layer, means the outermost layer of the finger, which contain the fingerprints. Similarly, our sole prints have also the friction ridge patterns. So basically, the fingerprints are widely used for the personal identification. It may be used in the cases where some crime took place and the suspect or the criminal has left his fingerprints. So in such cases, the fingerprints is the key most important evidence which can link the crime with the criminal. The principles of fingerprints means why these fingerprints are admitted 100% in the courts or for any comparison. So the first fingerprint principle is its uniqueness. The fingerprints of each individual is unique, means no two person have the same fingerprint characteristics, means the class characteristic can be same but individual characteristics will be different. Then the second principle is its permanence, means the fingerprint remains unchanged. Since your birth till your death, the fingerprint remains same. There is no changes. Only if there are some injury mark or there is some scare formation in your fingers, then that again becomes your individual characteristics at later stage. Then the third principle of fingerprint is the fingerprint types, means different fingerprint patterns that like fingerprints are classifiable into different categories. So these are the three main principles: its uniqueness, that no two individual can have the same fingerprints; its permanence, that it remains unchanged; and the third principle is its classifiable feature. Then at the crime scene or at any place, the fingerprints are generally found in the three forms. It can be patent fingerprint, it can be latent fingerprint, or it can be plastic print. So patent means the colored fingerprint. When some ink or blood you have touched in your finger and there is a impression over some surface, such type of prints are known as patent prints, means colored prints. Like this, when you ink your hand and then you put your fingerprint impression over some surface or over some paper, or you have bloody fingerprints, so such type of prints are known as patent prints. Then plastic prints are the prints when you touch a surface which is very soft, like uh, like clay or some soap. So there is 3D impression developed due to the pressure over that surface. So it shows a 3D impression of your fingerprint. Such type of prints are known as plastic prints. Plastic prints can be developed over the soft materials like clay, wax, or some greasy materials. Then the third one and the most important is the latent fingerprints. Latent means invisible or hidden or unseen. Okay, so these are the prints which required a special technique to develop by using different development techniques like fingerprint powder methods, some chemical reagents, and many other techniques that we will discuss further. So latent fingerprints means unseen or hidden fingerprints. Such prints can be developed using some physical and chemical methods like powder method, fluorescent powder methods, some magnetic techniques, some chemical methods like iodine fuming, ninhydrin technique, silver nitrate methods. Okay, so these prints are unseen or hidden just because these are formed due to the perspiration, means these are the product of the sweat that are present over your fingerprint surfaces, means over your fingers there is some sweat component. So when you touch some surface, so such fingerprints, as you know, our sweat is transparent. How we can develop or how you can visualize the patent and the plastic fingerprints? As we know, patent means visible, then such fingerprints do not require much efforts to visualize it. It is already visible, like the inked impressions are already visible, so we have to simply photograph those fingerprints for future references or for future comparison with the specimen or with the comparative samples. And similarly, the plastic prints are also already developed, so they can be easily photographed. And these can be preserved or can be further developed using silicon type casting material, means the plastic prints can be casted using silicon. Then we are going to discuss some development techniques of latent fingerprints, because these prints are not visible. So the first method that we use is the powder method. Powder is a finely crushed particle of carbon with some pigment over it, which adhere or stick to the aqueous and oily component of the latent fingerprint. So powder method is generally used for non-porous surfaces, means surfaces like glass, uh, your mobile phones, some plastic surfaces, or even powder method can be used for fresh fingerprints over some papers also. So the basic principle of powder method is that it sticks to the aqueous or water part or oily component of our sweat that is present over the latent fingerprints. So the basic components of a powder is the pigment, means the color, because the powder methods contain different color powders, means combination of different colors. It can be black powder, it can be gray powder, it can be silver color powder, it can be blue, green, or any color powder. So according to the surface upon which we have to apply that color, we have to select the powder method. Like if there is a darker surface, like some black surface or brown surface, then we have to use the contrasting color, means the lighter color. Like we can use yellow color powder, we can use white color powder, so that a contrasting image of the fingerprint can be developed. And the role of binder is to adhere with the water or the fatty residue of the fingerprint. So if we take about the carbon black powder, so it is black in color. It is formed from grinding the charcoal and combining it with the binder. This is the most commonly used powder for developing the fingerprints. So these powder method are generally used for developing the fresh fingerprints. As you already know that the water is volatile, means after getting some heat or atmospheric conditions, it get evaporated. So generally the powder method is used for fresh fingerprints. It can be applied on non-porous surfaces. So how we have to develop?
Sir, what is binder present in the charcoal black powder?
See, there are different binders. Okay, so we have to see like a lot of binders are there. So any binder can be used which can stick or which can absorb the moisture, means the water content. Okay, then how we can apply the this black color powder or any color powder? So we have to simply take a fingerprint brush, and this is the black powder. So we have to take some black powder and we have to spread gently over that surface, and we have to remove the extra powder either by using the brush only. Then we have the magnetic powder. So in the magnetic powder, the black powder has additionally the iron fillings or fine powder of iron mixed in the black powder only. This is the magnetic brush. It has a magnet at the this point at the knob. So when we keep this knob near the black magnetic stick, some magnetic powder, just due to effect of
Sir,
its
if
magnetism.
when we use such type of substance, does this any effect on the evidence part? I mean, when you are applying such chemical or substance, to get out or you trace the fingerprint like charcoal or any chemical, so it damage the fingerprint, in terms of the law or in terms of the evidence when we collecting, for the
No,
purpose of court.
no. This is the standard method of developing a latent fingerprint, because until we develop it with our different methods, we cannot produce the same fingerprint to the court. So first we have to develop, then only such fingerprint can be seen to the court. Okay, so then again it has the similar principle. The powder method stick to the oily or the watery part of the fingerprints, and the fingerprints get developed like this. We have to simply rub and we have to remove the extra powders.
If there is any variation, when you get the fingerprint by applying such chemicals, and when you are getting on the printout, so if there is any variation, and what is the level of variation is there?
Sorry, please repeat the question.
I'm saying, the, in the letter method,
Mm-hmm.
the original fingerprint is there, but when you apply such chemical or any substance, and when you get the final printout, for that fingerprint, so what is the level of variation in there?
There is no such difference in the fingerprints, because once you develop these fingerprints, you simply either use two techniques. Either you have to take the photograph of such fingerprints, or you simply lift these fingerprint using the sellotape method, means tape lifting method. You have to put a sellotape over the developed fingerprint area and you have to lift it, and we can put these fingerprints over the fingerprint card of contrasting color. Like if we have developed this fingerprint with the black color magnetic powder, then we can lift this fingerprint and put over a white color fingerprint card or white color surface. Then again further we can take the photograph using putting a scale beside, so that the same thing can be sent to the court or for or any police official or for any further comparison.
Okay, so what is the difference between magnetic powder method and carbon black powder? Because in magnetic powder you have put iron filling. So what is the function of iron filling in this method?
See, there is no as such difference, because in the last only the powder method get stick to the surface. Only the difference is in the procedure, the equipment. In this we are using a magnetic brush, and in that we are using some feather brushes or some camel brushes to develop. But in the last only the binder and the your pigment are only sticking to that surface.
Thank you.
Okay, so then we have fluorescent powder methods as well. Means we have fluorescent colors of different, like we have neon and different fluorescent colors.
So I have a question.
Okay.
So as far I know that the magnetic powder is used for the sticky surfaces like chips packets and biscuit packets, etc. And the plain black powder is used for the normal surface, normal plastic surfaces. So up to what it is true?
No, both can be used in both conditions. We can use the black powder method in that, because the main concept, the main principle of black powder or the magnetic powder is that it stick to the watery or the oily component of the sweat. That's why it has binder and the pigment. There is nothing as such anything like this can be this cannot be used over the over the chips packet or not. Both can be used in both conditions.
Sir, one more question.
Okay.
What is the purpose of that magna brush in the magnetic powder?
This brush, it has a
Magna
magnet
brush.
over here, over at the, so the role of this magnet is to stick the magnet the iron filling that is present over the powder, because the powder contain the iron fillings and this brush contain a magnet. So this is to stick the powder so that this can be easily applied.
So any specialty? Okay. So any specialty as compared to the plain powder of this magnetic powder?
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
So is there any specialty in this magnetic powder as compared to the plain black powder?
See, the fingerprint developed by this magnetic powder are quite much better, as the extra powder can be again taken back using this magnets, using this brush. Means if they when you put the fingerprint powder over a surface and there are some extra powder that is left over the fingerprint, then using this magnetic brush the extra fingerprint can be taken back. So that
Okay, thank you, sir.
that thing we cannot take in the our simple black powder method.
Hello,
Sir,
sir.
I have one question that if a fingerprint is on glass, how can we take the fingerprint?
We can use the black powder method. Means first we have to see what is the condition of the fingerprint, whether it is fresh or not. So if it is a fresh, we can use the black powder method. We can using this fingerprint black powder method, we can use either we can use the black powder method or we can use the magnetic powder method to develop. Means we have to take the powder in the brush and we have to gently spread over the that glass surface.
But sir,
Hello, sir. My
we
first
don't know
question.
na, where is the finger, where is the fingerprint. So how can we take the glass? We don't know where is the fingerprint.
Okay.
So it is
See,
impossible to detect that where is the
that
fingerprint.
area. Okay, okay, good question. So in such situations, we can either use the lightning technique. First, we can use the oblique light method. We can use the oblique light, means we can put a oblique light over the glass surface and we can search because first we have to search the fingerprint, or first we have to find out the most probable area where the fingerprint can be found. Like in a theft case, there is a big area, so we have to see what are the possible area where the fingerprint, where the chance fingerprints are left by the accused or the criminals.
Hello,
So
sir. My first question is, hello.
yeah,
Hello, sir. How can identified by the gender? मतलब जैसे कहीं किसी भी क्राइम सीन में हमें फिंगरप्रिंट मिलता है तो क्या हम उस चीज को आइडेंटिफाई कर सकते हैं या मेल है या फीमेल है फिंगरप्रिंट?
see, some research work has been done on such topics like determination of sex from the fingerprints, but at the time of investigation, it is not that much relevant because we have to take it because the research work that took place is not that much relevant. Means that is not 100% accurate, because on studying the poroscopy or the radioscopy as well as the ridge density, such research paper have been done that the females have more ridge density as compared to the male, but that cannot be accurately said. Okay, because some
Okay.
people have good density of ridges and some people have, but that is not a accurate study. So
Okay,
But
thank
our
you.
according to
investigation should not be on the that whether the crime that the fingerprint belongs to male or a female. We have to take all the suspect. We have to compare with all the probable suspects.
sir, according to international level, we have to fill the form of accused that we have taken the fingerprint and the accused fingerprint
Means
is
consent
on
form.
that form. Yeah, no, that call a consent form you can say, and it will be verified by investigating officer that fingerprint has been taken on all fingers. It is necessary for that.
Yes, it is the duty of the investigating officer to check that all the fingerprints have been taken properly. Because nowadays we like the investigating officer or the private investigator or the any government agency have to take the rolled fingerprint as well as the flat fingerprints over the fingerprint card, because that is the only basis of our comparison. If we take some wrong fingerprint or wrong way of taking fingerprint, then the proper comparison cannot be done. Okay, I think we should move further. because we are running short of time. Then we have fluorescent powders. So these powders are similarly put over the fingerprints, but these fingerprints can be used for the multicolored surfaces, like a CD or a newspaper, where different colors are present over a small area. So we apply the fluorescent powder. Then to visualize it, we use UV torch. So this is mainly applicable for multicolored surfaces. Then we have some chemical methods to develop the latent fingerprints, like ninhydrin method, silver nitrate method, iodine fuming methods.
Sir,
So
how can we identify the direction of the fingerprint?
we will
Mutate uh, that at which direction and where is that bridge is coming, like that.
we will discuss it further. We have that part also in the comparison. So after the development, we will come to the comparison portion. So your answer may be discussed over there.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. Uh,
For the latent powder, we are using the powder method. But due to excess powder or in the lifting, there is a chance to damage of the fingerprints. But still, we are using the powder methods. Why? What are the advanced technology to develop the latent fingerprints?
See,
May I
it
know?
depends on the surface, because if there is a fingerprint over some non-porous surface like glass, as discussed before, we cannot use the chemical method over non-porous surfaces, because the chemical method are more suitable for the porous surfaces like the paper, the cardboard, the wood. So if we suspect that latent fingerprints are present over such surfaces, then the chemical methods will be used. If the surface is non-porous or a smooth surface, then powder method can be used. So it depends on the surface.
Sir, what about the wooden surface? We can use the powder method to develop latent fingerprints.
See,
On
we can use both the things. If the print is fresh, we can use the powder method, and if the prints becomes older, we have to use the chemical method.
wooden surface,
Yes,
chemical method. Can you
yes, we can use.
which chemical, sir? May I know?
We can use ninhydrin method. We will further discuss. So we are now going to start with the chemical methods. So the first method is that we use is the ninhydrin. So ninhydrin is a white solid colored compound, means crystal, which is soluble in ethanol or acetone. So we just first make the 5% solution of the ninhydrin reagent, and then we spread or we spray over the fingerprint surface, means the porous surfaces like cardboard, the paper. So the ninhydrin method generally react with the amino group, amines of the set component. So it developed Raman's purple, means a purple color fingerprints. Then this method is slightly slower to develop, so we can use electric iron to heat up the fingerprint. We can like if we are developing a fingerprint from is over a paper, then we can keep a paper above it and below it, and we can use the electric iron to hasten or to fasten the development process.
Sir, my question is, can we use this ninhydrin technique for partial wet or wet surfaces?
No, this is used for dry surfaces, porous surfaces. For wet surfaces, we can use the SPR method, small particle reagent methods.
Okay, for small particle reagent in is for paper surface also.
For wet surface, for surfaces like gun, or like if a gun is put over a watery surface or in the pound, so we can use the small particle reagent method.
Okay, so suppose if I found one paper which is wet, partial wet, so which technique I can use for better development?
A small particle reagent method you can use.
Small particle. Okay, okay, thank you.
Then we have the silver nitrate method. So it is one of the oldest method for detecting the latent fingerprints from the porous surfaces like paper, cardboard, wood. So in Nin technique, the silver nitrate powder is used. It is dissolved in the ethanol solution, and it can be spread, or it can be the surface can be dipped over the solution of silver nitrate. So the silver nitrate react with the sodium chloride component of the sweat to form the silver chloride. Upon exposing that paper or that surface to the light, means over the sunlight, a dark color, brown color fingerprint can be developed, which is permanent in nature. So we can use the UV light also, we can use the sunlight also to further develop the fingerprint. So ideally 1 to 10% solution is used, but the most accurate or the best results can be seen in a 3% solution of the silver nitrate. Then we have iodine technique method. So iodine is a crystal which upon heating it sublimes, means it forms into vapors. So such purple color vapors can react with the fatty part of the fingerprint to develop it. So we have to simply but this method is not a permanent method, as after some time the iodine fumes again vaporize from that surface also. So we can take the photograph after it develops, or we can use, so this color yellow or dark brown color fingerprints are developed. So this is the purple color fumes, and we have to expose the fingerprint surface over these fumes. We can use some other reagents like starch solution over the developed fingerprint by iodine method. We can use the starch solution. So blue black complex, means the reaction of starch with the iodine will take place to form a blue black complex like this. And we can use the benzoflavone. Again it has the similar property. It again react with the iodine and form a blackish color or dark color fingerprint. Then we go for examining. First we have to take the comparative sample. Okay, so now when we come to the comparison of the fingerprints, so we have three level of comparison. The first level means the identification of the pattern, whether it is arch, loop, word, or whatever the pattern is. The second is the minute level, the individual characteristics of a fingerprint. The third one is poroscopy and the rhinoscopy. So today we will discuss about the two main levels, the level 1 and the level 2. Okay, for the first level, we will examine the class characteristics, means the arch, the loop, the world pattern. So we will discuss it further. And the second level includes the bifurcation, trifurcations, and so many individual characteristics that are present over a fingerprint. And the third level includes the pores, the shape of the lines, the incipients, and any scare mark or any deformity in the fingerprints. Okay, so to understand the first level, we should know that 60% people have the loop pattern. 35 means 30 to 35% people have world pattern, and 5% people have arch pattern, and 1% have accidental pattern. So First, the arch pattern. When a ridge line means, you can understand from here this image. When a ridge means these lines. When a ridge lines enter from one side and exit from the other side, such type of ridges are known as the arch pattern. It can, so it is subdivided into two parts: plain arch and the tinted arch. If the ridges have just a slight upward at the center, means arch like formation at the center, then it is plain arch. If there is a tent like, you can see in the tinted arch, if there is a tent like structure, so it is the tinted arch. There is a uphill or a spike like formation, so such type of prints are arch pattern. So the arch does not have any central point, that is we call it core, and it does not have any delta. So it has zero core, zero delta. Then we have the next pattern, the loop pattern. Loop means when a ridge, means these lines enter from one direction, it recurves at the center, or it recurves and again comes back to the same direction as the direction of the entrance. Means a ridge line enter from, in the ulnar loop we can see the line enter from the left side, it recurve and again comes back to the same side. Such type of prints are known as loop pattern. So it has one core and one delta. Core means this central point, like this one that I am marking with a pointer. This is the core, and there is a tri-radius, tri-radii like formation here. You can see this is a delta. So loop pattern has one core and one delta. So the loop is of two types, the ulnar loop and the radial loop. So how we decided? If the ridges are entering and exiting from the thumb side, then it is radial loop. And if the ridges are entering and exiting from the little finger side, then it is ulnar loop. So in the ulnar loop, there is one core and one delta. So 60% people, means 60% of the fingerprints are either ulnar or radial loop. So you most of you even have the same fingerprint pattern. So the next is whorl pattern. It consists of at least one complete circuit, means circle like formation. You can see in this one complete circuit of the ridge. So it has one core, this central part, and two delta. The loop has one core and one delta, but the whorl pattern, it appears in the shape of, so it has one core and two delta, one at the left side, one at the right side. So plain whorl can be in the shape of a circle, it can be in the form of concentric circle, or it can be in the form of a spiral. Then we have the composite whorl. Composite means a combination of these previously discussed features. Like the first, we have the central pocket loop, the double loop, accidental, lateral pocket loop, and the twinned loop. So the central pocket loop similarly appears like a whorl pattern only, but there is a slight difference. When we draw a imaginary line between the core, the delta, or one delta with the other, no circular or the circuit line it cuts. Okay, but when we see a plain world like this, when we draw a imaginary line between the left delta and the right delta, when we extend, means when we draw a imaginary line between these, it at least cut one circular line. Central pocket loop looks like a peacock eye. You can see it appears like a peacock eye. So we can identify it as a peacock eye. It also have one core and two delta. Then we have double loop world pattern. Double loop means two loops. It can be in the combination that the loops are in the same direction or in the opposite direction. You can see this image. It appears like a world pattern, but this is not a world. This is the first loop, means it is a combination of two. One loop is going to this side, the other loop is going to this side. It has two core and two delta, but the world has one core and two delta. But double loop has two core points and two delta. So it is of two types, the lateral pocket loop and the twinned loop. Lateral pocket loop means that both the loops will be in the same direction, like this. You can see this is the first loop that is entering and exiting from the left side, and this is the another loop below it, and it again enter and exit from the left side only. It has two core points and it has two delta. So this is lateral pocket loop, and the other one is twinned loop. In the twinned loop, the loops moves in the opposite direction, means this is the first loop and this is the second loop. One loop is moving to left side and this loop is moving to the right side. Again, it had two core and two delta. So this is twinned loop. Then we have the accidental pattern. Only 1% or 0.1% people have the accidental pattern. It is mainly the combination of world and loops, means combination of two patterns in one. Like there is a world, there is a loop formation over here. So it is mainly the combination of two patterns, means it can be a combination of world and loop. It can be a combination of, so only the plane arch is not considered in accident pattern, means the combination of any pattern with combination of any pattern other than the plane arch is considered as the accidental pattern. It has two core and two delta, or it can be more than that also. It can have more than two or three. It can have three delta as well, or it can have two. So it depends on the combination. Okay, so these are basically the different types of pattern which are present over the fingerprints. Then, so this is the first level of examination. First we have for comparing it, first we have to understand the pattern. If the chance print or the print that we have developed or we have found at the crime scene has a loop pattern, and the specimen that we have taken of the suspect, if it also has the same fingerprint pattern means same, both have the loop pattern, then we can proceed for further examination at the ridge characteristics or individual characteristics, means there are some individual characteristics in the fingerprints. So such compared like bifurcation, trifurcation, and closure. So these are different types of ridge characteristics. Like the ridge ending, short ridge, means in between the ridges you will see all these formations. Bifurcation or the fork, hook formation, a small extra ridge, formation of eye, formation of island, crossover, there is a means bridge like structure, or enclosure, island, eyelids. So you can find this thing in the fingerprints. So the most common, means in a fingerprint, this is a fingerprint pattern. So the most common fingerprint ridge characteristic that you will find is the ridge ending. Very commonly it is found. Then bifurcation, then dot. These are very commonly found in a fingerprint. Then occasionally, means enclosure. Enclosure can be found very occasionally. Some T-like junctions. Then short ridges means there is a ridge in between two ridges. Then the rarest things that we get in the ridge characteristics are the trifurcations, very rare combination. Then we have crossover or ridge crossing or a row of dots. So such prints are very rare, but this type of individual characteristics are found in the fingerprints. Like you can see, this is a fingerprint. You can see a crossover here. The ridge is crossing each other. You can see the core. We can see a bifurcation, means a single ridge is splitting into two. The ridge ending, you can see a ridge is ending over here. Or we can see an island or a dot. We can see the delta. We can see core is not a individual characteristic. So we can see all these things. So we have to compare it. Then I will let you know how the comparison process is done. Then after we have understood the class characteristics and the individual characteristics, mean the pattern identification and the individual character identification, we start the comparison process. So I'll make it simple. Like you can see two images and you can see few things are missing, like this pillow is missing, and here it is present in the first one, but it is missing in this. Similarly, the wire of the telephone cord is missing in one and it is present in the other. So while comparing, we do the same thing. Like at a specific point, we see whether this individual characteristic is present or not. Both these images can be considered as means these appears to be same, means class characteristics is same, means the pattern can be both the things can be loop. But when we compare the individual characteristics like the cord or the pillow or any other things, it shows it is different. Similarly, we can see in this, the class character appears to be same, means the image looks like the same, the features are same, but there are things, means there are individual features, like this part is different, this part is different, like the pocket is present in one, absent in other. So while comparing the fingerprint also, we have to find the individual characteristics. So now how to compare the fingerprints, whether they are matching, means two fingerprints are matching or not. So first we have to identify the class characteristics, whether the two fingerprints, means one that is to be compared and other with whom we are comparing, means the standard sample, whether they belongs to same pattern or not. If they are or like have the same fingerprint pattern, then we will go for the next level of identification. Then we can see whether the ridge flow, means the second observation that we do is the flow of the line, whether the ridges are flowing on the left side or the ridges are flowing on the right side. And the third observation we do is the identification of the ridge characteristics. Then after comparing the ridge characteristics, we have to see whether the same ridge characteristics, means the bifurcation, the trifurcation and all, are present at the same location or the relative position or not. And then we have to analyze the sequence, whether all the ridge characteristics are at the same sequence or not. I'm just showing it with the example. See, we are doing the comparison of these two fingerprints. So first we have to understand the pattern, that okay, the pattern in this and the pattern in this are same or not. If we have found that the pattern is same, then we have to see the ridge flow. Are the ridge lines flowing in the same direction or in the right direction or in the left direction? then we have to analyze or we have to mark the individual characteristics. Like you can see there is a bifurcation, there is a hook, you can see a hook formation, there is again a bifurcation, there is a hook, there is a dot in the point number 5. So we have to see in the other sample also, means with whom we are comparing, whether at the same position, at the same location, the same individual characteristic is present or not. Like in this also you can see that the same individual characteristic is present at the same locations. So this is how we compare it, because if we go in detail again, there is some slight variations. Like you can see uh, the bifurcation is also downward bifurcation, leftward leftward bifurcation, or any other formations. So we have to see whether the
Is there
formation.
any way by, sir, is there is any way by first watching, I mean, first impression, we can find out that, this particular fingerprint belongs to the male, female, or the, age comparison, other going, into the detail. Is there is anything, which is standard procedure? I mean,
I
with the first impression,
Sir,
we can find out that, this belongs to the
sir,
male,
please,
female,
sir,
or the, age factor.
sir, we have already discussed about the sex determination from the fingerprint. We have previously got the same question. So after finishing the presentation, as we are again lacking sort of time, so after finishing this presentation, we can go through some other some questions again. So first, let's finish the topic. I think this will be much better. So this is another example. So the same rich characteristics, because after examining the class characters, we can say, okay, both the prints belongs to central pocket loop, because it appears there is a peacock eye-like formation. So both the prints are belongs to central pocket loop. Then we go to the individual characteristic identification. Like we can see there is a enclosure here at the point number 2, and similarly the same is present in the other also at the same location. So we can do the rich counting, means we have to like we have marked the point number 1 as core. So after intervening, like if we are describing this point, point number this is not marked, but if we are describing this bifurcation, so we can do the counting from the core point, like point 1, 2, and this is the third one. So we can find out that after intervening 2 ridges to the west direction from the core, we have bifurcation similarly present on the other print also. So in India we require 8 rich characteristics, minimum 8 rich characteristics, to conclude that these prints belong to same person. And different country had different parameters, like USA does not have a fixed criteria, but some country like England had 10, some countries had 12, some countries have 16 characteristics, means 16 individual characteristics is to be matched to prove that both the fingerprints belong to the same person. But in India, if only 8 rich characteristics are matching, we can conclude that both the fingerprints belongs to the same person. This is a report prepared by me. So this also both the prints belongs to the same person. So I have marked 10 individual characteristics, and all the points should be in sequence like this. Means it can be clockwise or anti-clockwise, so that it becomes easier while preparing the report. So while preparing the report, we can write in the like we can write it like this. Like if we are describing the point number 2 here, so with one ridge intervening from the core point, there is a bifurcation which is similarly present on the latent print also. So similarly, we have to write 8 to 10 points minimum as per the Indian rules to prove it as the fingerprints belongs to the same person. I think this is the comparison process, and I think you have understood it clearly. Sometimes we get the partial fingerprints, the chance print or the prints which we get from a crime scene. These are mainly the partial or incomplete. So we have to compare the partial or the half print with the complete rolled fingerprint. So again, we have to do the markings. So this is all about the fingerprint examination. We have one more training session on 22nd on the admissibility of these evidences, admissibility of the forensic evidences. Means we will study about the Indian Evidence Act, and again, what are the challenges faced by the forensic expert, or what are the challenges faced while submitting an evidence. So you can join or register from the link. Okay, you can go to this website, onlineforensictrainingcourses.com, and there is a webinar section. You can register our next training. Everything is mentioned in that post. You can see the webinar, and we will again notify you through Facebook or through other social media platforms. So you can follow us also on the Facebook or on Twitter, on LinkedIn, wherever you are available. You can find Brilliant Forensic Investigation in all the social media platforms. You can see the this video also on the YouTube. This will be uploaded over there also.
So I want to ask a question.
Okay.
Do you hear me, please?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
How someone if someone want to join, what is the procedure? Is there available on your website the details about?
What type of joining you want to join, to learn the course, or you want to join as an expert?
To learn the.
Yes, you can.
To learn the course.
Yes, you can join. The website that I have given, you can enroll over there.
Okay.
We have two websites. The other one is.
Please mention that. No, it will be better. However, it is a really effective and very impressive session webinar that you presented. It has given a very much morals to each and every student. Perhaps the people who are attending must have get the benefit from this webinar, and hope it will continue as you have told for your next session. We'll be waiting for that.
Thank you so much, sir. On behalf of Applied Forensic Science for Justice Student Group, I would like to thank our distinguished speaker, Mr. Adarsh Mishra, for making an excellent presentation and making this seminar a very meaningful and interesting. I would like to express our deep gratitude for his presence in this webinar. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. So you can get connected in the Facebook or LinkedIn or any social media. You can search for Brilliant Forensic Investigation in the Google. All the educational materials, all the educational platforms, as well as the forensic services are available. So you can go through the website. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.